Hi everyone. I'm in Qoder. That's Qoder with a Q. This is Alibaba's new coding platform, and do you know what? It's quite good. I quite like it. It is works in the same way as you would work inside of VS Code or you work inside of Cursor. So if you've actually used any of those projects, any of those platforms, then this will look familiar. This will feel familiar. It's what's known as an IDE or integrated development environment. What that means is you can code in it, you can write code in it, you can prompt inside it, you can work with folders, you can work with files, and you can even preview inside the platform how it's going to look when it's actually created, which is actually quite cool. I quite like some of the features in Coder. It's nice, it's friendly, it's user friendly. So you're going to have a page like this. You're going to want initially just to do Apple or Control, depending on whether you're using Mac or using a PC. L, that's going to open the chat panel. Just make sure you've got Agent selected down here. I've not really tried with ours. I just find Agents works really well. Basically, what's going to happen is you're going to give it a prompt, and it's going to go away and work out what to do. We'll come on to that in a moment. You're also going to want to have a new terminal. So just go into Terminal, New Terminal. That's going to come at the bottom. So you're going to need these two windows open from the start. Okay. Now, the next thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to set up inside your parent folder. So in other words, the folder where you're going to put your projects. You can see a bunch of projects I've been working on or am working on at the moment inside my coding projects 25. I've just put a little folder completely empty at the moment. My cool web page, drag that in. You have to make sure, let me just do that again so it's correct. There we go. You have to make sure that this is where you want your project to be. If you've got your parent folder, if it was like my coding projects 25 there, you're going to get into a world of pain because the AI is going to be looking for your files and your folders, and it's going to be looking outside of your project folder, or what you call your root, what you would call your root directory. Okay, so you need to be inside of your root directory project folder, and you can see that I've got that here. Okay, so I've got this AI chat open here on the right. If it doesn't show, Control L, so Control L, Command L, and you're going to get that open. You can just see here it toggles on and off. Okay, so you need to have this chat panel open on the right. I'm going to open a terminal, new terminal at the bottom. Okay, so you need these two windows open. You'll see why in a moment. Okay, so you can see here, look, my cool web page, my cool web page, my cool web page. We are absolutely in the right place. So I'm going to start like this. I'm going to just put an initial prompt into the chat component bottom right. And I'm just saying this, inside the current folder, please build the vanilla Next.js project with app directory, src, and Tailwind. We will use shadcn for UI, and I've actually given the GitHub repo for shadcn. If you're new to this, probably everything I've just said there will be like, what? Don't worry about it. This will all become clearer. Next.js is the language that you're programming in. Okay, you're programming in what's called a React-based framework. This is a much more fluid. It's much more user-friendly in many ways. It is actually a much lighter language to program in than HTML. And it's what all of the modern websites are programmed in. Okay, so just be aware, Next.js is kind of the evolution from the old kind of code-heavy HTML files. That's all you need to know. App directory, see, it's just the structure. You'll see it appear here on the left in a moment. It actually structures the folders in a particular way. Tailwind is your style. So it's your global styles, your colors, your fonts. Shadcn is just, I'm importing a style library. I just really like it. It gives you icons. It gives you really nice cards. It gives you nice font. It's just really, really attractive. So that's why I'm importing it from the start. So that's all I do. And I just hit the little send button, and it's just going to get to work. And what you'll see here on the left-hand side is you'll see the files appearing. But you also need to be aware of what happens here in the terminal, because there will be a couple of things that you will need to do to move it forward. So let's just hit the send button and see how we get on. So you can see it's given me that initial, perfect, right? This is what we're going to do. You can hit run here. You can do ask every time or enable auto run. I would strongly suggest when you first start, don't enable auto run, because this is a very opinionated AI. I've been playing with it this morning, and what I've noticed is it will just kind of go for it, and you're like, whoa, slow down. The other thing I don't like about it so much is, unlike Claude where you can hit escape and it stops, you've kind of got to hit this stop button, and you may have to do it a few times for it to actually work. It's just like, will you just stop? Just be aware of that. So you need to make sure, number one, that you just, and at least initially, you hit the run button and don't enable auto run. And secondly, be very, very clear, going step by step in exactly explaining what you want and what you don't want. Because if you give it a fairly vague prompt, it's actually it's a very clever AI. It will just go off and it will just do stuff. That can be amazing, but it can also be potentially a bit damaging. So I'm just going to hit run. And you'll see here, it's actually now setting up the project. So we can actually see here, it's installing the dependencies, in other words, the packages that my platform will need to rely on. So it's just doing that here. We just need to check to make sure whether it's going to ask us to actually do anything. There we are. No, it's done it all for us. Okay, so you can see here on the left-hand side, it's set up the project. This is the other great thing about Next.js. One prompt, you can see the prompt that it wrote in there, and it's set the whole project up. Now, what it will now do is just set up the install the shadcn, and you can see here it's asking me to do something here. So what color shall I have as the base color? I'm going to go for I think gray as the base color. No, let's go for slate, stone. Let's go for stone. So basically, it's just going to give you like a base color for your components. You can change it later, don't worry. But I actually quite like that. It's like, okay, I can immediately have a kind of a unified look for my components. Okay, so again, I'm just hitting run here. I'm just reading it and I'm going, yeah, that's right. I want you to add a few components in so we can actually, demonstrate it. Let's verify the components, check the project structure. Perfect. Let's create a simple demo page. This is what I mean about opinionated. I haven't asked it to do that, but I'm thinking, brilliant. Yeah, let's have a look and see. Let's see what these components look like. Components are the building blocks of your page. Okay, so things like a header, things like a section of a web page, things like a card. These are all components. They're literally the building blocks of your web page. This is how Next.js works. Absolutely love building with it because it literally feels like you can build them from scratch rather than having a whole one page with all of your components inside it and having thousands of lines of code. You can literally assemble your components and you can build them step by step. So now it's just coding. I don't need it. It says reject accept. Don't worry about that at the moment. You can ignore that. You can actually bulk accept later. So you can just ignore that for now. Okay, now then, you can see here it says npm run dev. That's going to run the development server, which is going to enable me to preview what it looks like. So I'll just hit run dev. And you can see at the bottom here, you've got this localhost 3000 set up. But what we'll also do in a moment, it will almost certainly give me a button to hit preview and preview it in the window. Let's see if it does. If it doesn't, it doesn't really matter because I can actually set up. There we are. So it's now going to set me up a preview. There we are. So if I just hit preview and then run, there we are. So now it's just given me really basic. Again, there's nothing to this, but I know it's working. But what I can do is I can hit Command or Control, depending on whether you're Mac or PC, and then just tap on here, and it will also just give me, there we are. And you can see actually, I really like these shadcn components. They're clean, they're simple, they're straightforward, really, really nice. But what we're going to do now is we're actually going to build a home page for our platform, okay? And I'm going to do this in a particular way. I'm going to do this. Now, please look at the please visit, I'm going to do it this way actually. Please visit the below websites and give me an overview of their design language, okay? What I'm going to do is this. Let me just show you. See if I can just find the website. Okay, so if I just go, this is just one example, okay? Just one example here of and I just quite liked, so what I did is I actually literally went online. I just found a bunch of websites that I liked. That was it. There's another one here, look. I just put them in a little document like this, the linear bets. Here's another one. I'll just show you another one here, look. So I just thought I just quite like these websites. So just find a couple of websites that you like, okay? And what you do then is you just grab I'm just going to grab these two here because they're quite similar. And then I'm just going to put those two websites in. I'm just saying now, can you just visit the below websites? Just tell me, give me an outline of the design language. Because rather than having to explain what you want, just show it some websites and say, can you just visit these and kind of tell me what you think, type thing. So we are execute. It's now going to go onto those web pages and it's going to look at them. And it's now going to give me, now that's actually quite important, design language. That's the phrase that you want because it kind of understands what that means. So BedStack design language, color palette, typography, logos, design principles. Okay, so there we go. So it's given, there we are, key design language differences. So there we are. So now do you incorporate elements for either of these designs? Okay, now design me 5 artifacts that, itchy nose, that demonstrate these design principles. What I am going to say though, because sometimes it misses color, ensure you focus on the dark backgrounds and clean white text that you can see on these pages. I've just noticed that sometimes it will kind of default back to what it's coded, and it won't pull the actual colors through. So I'm just saying, can you make sure that you actually follow the actual design language? I've noticed that Claude I found better at reading web pages. I just feel like maybe Qoder's not quite there yet in terms of web pages. So there we go. This is what works in a very similar way to Claude. Claude does the same thing. I love the to-do list. Something about the obsessive compulsive in me that when I see a to-do list, I think, just feel safe. So now what it's doing, look, is I'll add some additional shared CI components that we'll need. So it's now just kind of working out. This is what the agent is doing. Okay, so the agent is basically saying, right, okay, so we're going to design these pages. I need some more components. I'll just pull them through from the Shad CN library. I don't need all of the Shad CN components, but I need a few. So let me just pull a few more through. Perfect. Now I'll create the 5 design artifacts. So now it's going to create a components folder. There's the components folder. You can see here it's just appeared. And then artifacts. So now it's going to start to design some components based on the websites that we like. Can't tell you what a game changer this is. You don't have to start really sort of laboriously describing what you want, which is actually quite hard. You just show. The other thing you can do is I'll just show you here. If you have an image, just hit the @ button and then click on image, and then you can actually upload an image and it will look at the image as well. So that's also quite useful, and files as well. So it will also read files. So just be aware of that, and that works in a very similar way to Claude. Claude works in a slightly different way. You can just drag the images in and you can drag the files into Claude, into the terminal window. But actually here, you need to do the little @ sign, and then you can choose whether you want file, image, etc., etc. Okay, so now what it's doing is it's coding these different things. So let's let it carry on, and then we'll come back to it in a moment. Okay, so we have our showcase. What I really like about this, let me just open this up inside another window so you can see it. There we go. What I really like about this, and again, this is where I think this is a bit of a cut above what we're seeing in some of these other AI coders, is actually it's created a home page to then give me access to these components. I like that, didn't ask to do that. So it's given me this kind of design language showcase here, look. Okay, and here are the design artifacts, and I can just click on them and it just shows me, there we are, look, that's my first one. Features, there we are, look, it's got a features component. There's a metrics dashboard component. There is a team collaboration component, and there is a price and comparison component. So it's actually given me those. Really nice, really clean, really straightforward. So from there, what you would do is you'll say, right, okay, so again, another prompt down here on the right-hand bottom right. Now, with this design language in mind, design a homepage for a showcase for AI coders in education. This will be a place where educators coding AI applications can share their ideas and showcase their skills. Okay, so again, I'm just giving a fairly brief, basic explanation, but this is what we want. So we're going to take this design language and create this home page. Okay, so let's see how we get on. So this is our page that we had before. And what it's actually done is it's just linked in an AI in Education showcase actually into the into that demonstration. So if we just go back onto the here, there we go, just refresh the page. So this is, again, this is the local version. So this isn't online yet. This is just literally just running on my server on my laptop. So there we go. So there it is. Look, Education Showcase. Tap on there. So there it is. Quite like it, actually. It's quite cool. Join the community. You know, it will do. It's not quite got the buttons right, but you can work on that. It doesn't get everything right. I tell you what, I really don't like. I just don't like these gradients. It just screams AI, but it's okay. Again, you can work on them. But apart from the fairly gross gradients that AI coders are obsessed by, quite like. It's done some quite nice cards here, projects here, not bad at all. Okay, so we've got this page. And what do we do with it? Where do we put it? How do we publish it? How do we get it online? This is the skill. Okay, this is the trick. You're going to go into GitHub. Okay, you're going to go into GitHub, github.com. Sign up to GitHub. It's for free. You're going to hit new. You're going to put your repository name in. So just give it a website title. So I'm going to say my cool new webpage. A lame name, I know, but it doesn't matter. Give it a name that's actually not lame. Visibility, I'm actually going to choose private because my code is so amazing, but it doesn't really matter, to be honest with you. No one really cares. Create repository. Okay, there we are. You're going to grab this URL here. Okay, just grab it here, copy it here. Go back into Qoder. Now, please run build, then commit to this repo. Okay, run build first. Running build basically means it's going to go through a process to make sure that there are no errors. If you don't do that, it will become a religion. Every time you commit your files and your website, in other words, push it online, you go through a build process first. There are other checks as well, TypeScript checks as well, but I'm just going to run a build. Copy your repo in. Repo's repository. It's just where your repository is just where you're putting it's like your folder where you're putting your code. So please run build and then commit to this repo. And what it will do is it will go through a process where it will run the build, and then it will literally ask you to accept a few things to link this project with that GitHub repository. Okay, there may be one or two other things that you have to do first. You may have to put in some a password. You will need to work that out. I've used this so much I can't actually remember. But if ever you get stuck, you just literally write into Qoder, I'm not sure what to do next. If an error comes up in the terminal, copy the error, put it into Qoder. What do I do? It will walk you through this. Okay, so if I've missed something, it's possible, then actually it will help you. Okay, so here we are. So run the build, npm run build. So now it's going at the bottom. And let's just move that up so you can see. It's now running through the build. This will be super fast because there's only one page or two, a couple of pages. There we are. So now it's doing this. Look, I need to fix. Okay, notice it's seen some errors. It's going to fix the errors. Okay, because it's in charge of the build, it can see the terminal, and therefore it's going to fix the errors. So let's just give it a sec to actually fix those errors. And there we go. It's compiled successfully. So now we have compiled and built our project. If you don't do that build first and you push it to GitHub and then you deploy it on Versal, which I'll show you in a moment, it will fail. The build will fail. So you have to go through the build process first. It has to pass at the local level before you push it online. If you don't, then you waste time. Trust me, I wasted a lot of time initially. So now we just go through the process where we're going to push it online. So we initialize Git, which is the link between our laptop and the GitHub. And then add. It will probably say, oh, hang on, we need to, it will realize there's a fault here in a moment because we haven't actually initialized and we haven't actually linked the repository to this project. It's fine. You just literally follow. Okay, run. There we are. Look. Or maybe we don't need to in this case. Maybe we'll see. Maybe it will work. And then remote add origin. Oh, there it's doing here. Look, there we are. So git remote add origin. It's linking that repository name into this project. And then it will give me the command to push. You're literally just hitting, that's all you need to do. You just keep hitting at this point, you probably can auto do it because it's just, there we are. So now it's pushed to the main repository, GitHub. And you can see here, let me also create the README file. That's fine. You can do that if you like. Good idea. Okay, so back to GitHub, refresh the page. This should disappear and you should see your folder structure if it's worked. If you don't see your folder structure, it hasn't worked. There we are. So you can see the folder structure that it's been committed a minute ago. Okay, but you still can't see anything. You look in GitHub, so what? This is just where you store your files, okay? You're going to deploy this now. And the platform you're going to use to deploy is Versal, versal.com. Okay, versal.com. So you just, again, you must sign up to GitHub first. And then when you sign up to Versal, sign up using GitHub. And then it will link your GitHub to your Versal automatically. If you don't do that, then none of that, what I'm about to show you is going to work. Okay, please, GitHub and then Versal. So I've signed up with Versal. And once I'm in this, obviously I've got loads of projects here you can ignore. You're going to hit Add New Project. And if you have done the first bit correctly, you'll see a little icon to connect here as well. So you'll need to connect to GitHub first, but it will automatically connect. If you've used your GitHub credentials to authorize into Versal, you will see this connection here. If you see nothing here, then it means you haven't followed that. So do make sure you do it. There we are, Michael, new web page import. Okay, now I haven't got any other links to any other outside, no database, no AI, nothing at the moment. So I can literally just hit deploy. You would need to put in here, if you've got what we call APIs to, I don't know, backend database. But for this, when we've just built a web page with no links to anything else, it's absolutely fine. Hit deploy. What it will do is it will build your web page. And if it's successful, this page will disappear and you'll see a preview of your web page, which you just click on and then you can get onto your website. If it fails, here we are, look, it's the deployment process is happening here. You'll see a big red failed. If it fails, you hit you open it up, you copy the error, you paste it back into Qoder, into the chat. And you don't even need to say the Versal build has failed. You just, and it will know because it recognizes that these are Versal build logs and it will just fix the problem. That may happen. If you've been through that build process first, it shouldn't happen. But if it will, if you don't, there we are. If you, it's pretty quick. If you're linking to a backend database or you're using OpenRouter for AI or whatever, which I obviously haven't done in this particular case because it's just an introduction, then the build will fail because it's going to look for a link to your outside your backend services and it can't find the link. But I've got none of them. So just tap on it here, look, and here's my web page. So that is my web address. I won't show you at this how to add. You can just click continue to the dashboard here. You can add your own domain here. I won't show you that for now, obviously, but you can. It's very easy to add a domain, your own domain, buy a domain name from Namecheap or somewhere and add it. It's very, very simple. But there we go. So it's actually really, really simple. You've now got your website, your web page, your showcase, your cool graphics. Done a really, really good job. Hope that was useful. I will do some more kind of, I plan to do some more courses to show you much more in-depth vibe coding. But for now, have a go with Qoder, see how you get on.